Boxey's inquiry into things allows Apollo to explain the backstory, why they're at war and why the Sylons are so dedicated to exterminating humanity. Sylon is actually the name of the alien race that created the robots in human form, as a way to outcompete humans, because our bodies are better suited to dominate their area of space than the Sylons themselves. Fat lot of good that did them, though, because the reptiles died out, so the name has been applied to their creations that still run amok. The war happened because humanity interfered with Cylon dominance of other races. So this is a severe contrast with the reimagined series. The Cylons aren't our own creations turning on us. They're someone else's creations that have gotten off the leash, waging war purely because they've decided that humans are a threat and always will be. This separation allows them to place more focus on other themes than mankind has become too smart for its own good, or mankind's abilities has surpassed its wisdom, as in the Augment trilogy on Enterprise describing the eugenics war. And having robot adversaries was a good move for the show. You can get away with shooting people with ray guns even in a PG movie, but on TV in the late 70s, shooting robots would be a lot easier to get past the network censors. But back to the Cylons. What's interesting is that, rather than being the allegory I mentioned, it can be seen as an allegory for short-sighted decisions harming people in the long term. For instance, the ignorance about the toxicity of PCBs has resulted in ubiquitous environmental problems that persist 40 years after the stuff was banned in the United States. Most of the people responsible for the use of the chemicals are likely in nursing homes or the cemetery, but their decisions are still poisoning people today. So like the Cylons, the creators are gone, but their creation is still causing harm to the innocent. See, look at those poor freaks there. They had to have grown up next to some toxic waste.
Starbuck, I'm telling you, there's something just not right about this place.
Yeah, why don't you go to another show? Ugh. Starbuck is convinced this place is great, though. He's cleaning up in the casino, and everyone else is too. Which makes little sense, since casinos have to stack the odds in their favor if they want to stay in business. I mean, just ask yourself, who's the one who's making the chips? They're probably the ones who are making all the money. Speaking of making a fortune, Apollo's landmaster has come across a rich fuel supply, so Muffet hops out and runs off. Perfect. The most annoying traits of real dogs, yet horrifying to behold. Apollo takes the opportunity to bond with Serena, meaning none of them notice when Boxey gets nabbed by aliens. Oh boy. Good luck explaining to the cops that you're putting out an Amber Alert because you were trying to get laid. After the cliffhanger for the third part, the group gets around to looking for Boxey, when they too are picked up by aliens. But they're not attacked. The aliens, the Ovions, figured that he was lost and brought here, thanks to the Languitron. I think I'm going to go with Universal Translator, though. I mean, I know Languitron sure rolls off the tongue and sounds so 21st century, but no, I'm going to go with Universal Translator instead. Boxey is actually hanging out with Boomer and Starbuck. Not the gambling table, of course, because that would be inappropriate for a small boy. No, this is the waiting room for the topless bar. A message goes out to the fleet about how great this is, and naturally, Yuri is leading the way for everyone to come down here and have a good time, and replenish their supplies while they're at it, which Adama worries might be a fatal mistake. As he narrates, the location is really suspect.
Fuel has begun to arrive from the Ovion mines, but in curiously small quantities.
I'm hearing the same thing, Commander. Those aliens are up to something. I'd bet my bulb on it. Speaking of being in a jam, Starbuck is gambling when Cassiopeia swings by, and when she goes to make arrangements for their alone time, Athena comes by to patch things up between them. And like a donkey between two piles of hay, Starbuck isn't sure where he's supposed to go, and so pisses off both of the ladies. There's always me, young man. Or maybe it's the hot streak at the gambling table. He's doing so well, he's sure that he can get both of them to agree to join him. Anyone else doing better?
Never eaten so much in my entire life. I'm gonna be as fat as... Push level 3 for us, please. I feel like a total glut, Francois.
I mean, look at me. I have to weigh at least 30 pounds right now. I'll never get this off. Well, the elevator malfunctions, no doubt due to the heavy weight of this massive porker right here, and it takes them right to the bottommost level instead of to their quarters. Well, whatever they see horrifies them, so there's a deep, dark secret down there. Something Adama's thinking as well, thanks to the falsified reports that Baltar's people gave to the colonies about this place. He's also asking the obvious question, why is there a resort directly over a fuel mine? I've played Evil Genius, so I know. It's the cover for the sinister plot. Yet Yuri is concluding the opposite. Everything is so good here that they could stay, except the Sylons might consider them a threat. Therefore, we have to destroy all of our military equipment. Yes, pacifism before the Sylons sure worked so well the first time. Let's do it again. Maybe if we let them kill us often enough, eventually we'll get this right. Adama is incredulous, gives them a stern talking to, drops the mic, and leaves. Unfortunately, the meeting goes on without him, and now Adama's out of the discussion. He can't head back in there now without looking like a jackass. So they consider the merits of the plan, including how to get the military to go along with it. They're going to feel it out at a ceremony in honor to Apollo, Starbuck, and Boomer for getting them through the Nova Starfield intact. And then, everything will be perfect.
What are they doing with us?
Except being eaten alive, of course. I'm not saying we should dismiss this out of hand, but we should probably give some table time to the negatives of this plan. Speaking of terrible ideas, Starbuck plans to get out of the military by taking those 3 singers on tour. Man, it literally hurts my eyes to look at her. And yes, I'm using the word correctly. I can't look at her without my eyes feeling pain. It's like the uncanny valley, only worse. It's the bottomless pit of nausea. I know you're on the rebound, Starbuck, but man, you can do better. Well, the singers aren't interested in doing a gig, and in the process, they tip off Starbuck that something sinister is indeed going on. But he's quickly distracted at the thought of getting the highest medal in the ceremony. You know, shiny things, flying, and boning. That's Starbuck, really. He's like a horny magpie. Meanwhile, Adama arranges for Ty to meet him in the hangar. And in fact, the old man is hanging out in the cockpit.
Pick up that ground crew communicator and climb into the next ship, please.
Climb into the next ship?
Quickly.
Then I want you to pretend you're the tower and then make little spaceship noises, you know, vroom. Actually, he wants to talk in a place where no one else can hear. Yuri is taking no chances and has placed bugs all over the ship. He doesn't say it, but it seems like he realizes he's made the same mistake he made the first time with Yuri. He allowed his certitude and pride to get the better of him, storming out of the meeting thinking that it would make a difference instead of working with the council. For instance, he could have said he would look into it in order to buy some time so that he could return to the council with a counter-proposal. Instead, by making a big show out of leaving, he locked himself out and now is forced to go behind closed doors to try and fix this. He may, once again, be in the right, but he was arrogant to presume that they'd fall into line simply because he was right. He's thinking right now, if there is something up, the Sylons might be involved. And if the Sylons are involved, they will logically strike when the most soldiers are away and the fleet is defenseless, like during the celebration that Yuri has planned. If they want to avoid that, they'll need to keep some of them up here, even though the council expressly said that the whole of the military should come down. But Adama knows one thing about those crusty old farts. They don't have the experience to know who is really a soldier and who isn't. All they know is what a uniform looks like. Except possibly Yuri, who likely only knows what a stripper soldier's uniform looks like. So if they put mechanics and cooks and people like that in uniform and send them down, the council isn't going to know the difference. And they'll have soldiers on hand to deal with any Cylon ambush. So Colonel Ty has the indignity of needing to personally collect as many uniforms as he can.
What are you doing, Colonel?
Falcon.
I didn't mean to startle you. Can we give you a hand with...
If you ever do that again, you're on report, Starbuck.
Wow. Nice day to you too, Dick.
And you can tell the rest of your Playboy pilots this is not the last flash inspection that I'm going to make.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to find starch after the apocalypse? And you call yourself a warrior.
When Commander Adama sees these, he's gonna go crazy.
It's gotta be the pressure.
Yeah, I heard he's been drinking too much. What, Colonel Ty? Never. But Adama thinks they can't let anyone else in on the plan, not even Apollo. Although it's a bit difficult to get him to leave Adama on the ship while he's getting this incredibly prestigious medal. No, I'll catch it the next time you get the Congressional Medal of Honor. Game's on. So everyone heads down to enjoy themselves, but our three heroes all start to notice other people in ill-fitting uniforms that they don't recognize, which wouldn't be a big deal if these weren't people in their own squadron. I mean, yeah, Starbuck tends to not notice anything that you can't smoke, gamble, or has tits, but he should be aware of who is flying next to him by now. Well, it's lucky that they do, because they decide to follow three of them, who wound up taking that elevator down to the floor of the damned, and Starbuck and Apollo are determined enough to check it out and blast the controls in the process. Unfortunately, equally interested is Muffet, who hops into another elevator, so Boxy follows. I should mention that when this came out, I was 5. And even then, I had no love for the damn robot dog, and time has not altered that perspective. Anyway, Adama is correct. The Sylons are here, and they are working with the Ovions. So when Boxy shows up, one Sylon prepares to stab him. That's pretty hardcore, stabbing a 6-year-old. But I suppose Sylons are hard all the way through, so it's to be expected. Starbuck and Apollo save him and discover that room, where everyone is cocooned to be fed upon by the young. We even see one person desperately trying to get out of there. Oh, and then there's this one here. Look at her. Look how fat she still looks in there. It's disgusting. Starbuck rescues Cassiopeia and...
Let's go, follow me!
Yep, one's enough. Let everyone else get eaten alive. I suppose there's a strict limit on rescues. It's like how you can only catch so many fish before you have to start throwing them back. Now you might be saying, well, there's the threat of the Sylons, Chuck. To which I say, what, the one that was left after they shot his friend? Yeah, I'm sure that's really going to slow them down. Well, the overall plan for the Sylons seems to be working, so they prepare for the attack while Apollo tries to get everyone to haul ass out of there. Yuri is annoyed at this interruption to his speech, but the arrival of armed Sylons convinces him that perhaps he should defer to the experts on the matter. That is why they get the flashy new medals, after all. But everyone is brought to the escape vehicles.
Muffet! Wait, we can't leave without Muffet!
Everyone who matters is brought to the vehicles. Hey, look, if you leave people trapped in an alien hive to be eaten alive, you sure as shit had better not go back for the damn robot dog. Well, unfortunately, he makes it there himself amidst the carnage, and the humans are evacuated, while Apollo gets his people into their Star Furies for the next stage of the fight.
I wish he could be my daddy.
Good idea. I'll give him a test drive later. So they fight, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight, until they have the Cylons on the run. But Apollo is thinking longer term. That base ship has to be nearby, and if so, it can easily follow them once they leave the system. So it's going to need to be destroyed. So he and Starbuck head in, disregarding orders, to fake out the Cylons, pretending to be the leaders of 2 squadrons each, by speaking on the comm to each other with different call signs.
By your command, Colonial Viper squadrons approaching in large numbers.
Surely our raiders are close enough to defend us.
Our raiders are still engaged against the Galactica. And don't call me Shirley.
Well, with word that all the raiders have been blown up and 6 squadrons are coming in, Starbuck has invited 2 more imaginary ones, presumably piloted by big-breasted blondes bringing beer since they're his fantasy, prompting the leader to bring the base ship into the atmosphere in order to hide. What they don't realize, besides that this is just 2 ships, is that the fuel below the surface is burning right now, enough to, say, blow up the entire planet. Yep, set up a resort for humans. Next thing you know, they get drunk and blow up your planet. Still, the tourist money helps the local economy, so everyone turns a blind eye. Well, the day is saved. Lorne Greene repeats the series premise, and then the epilogue. Told you. Originally, Baltar being hauled off for execution ended with him being executed. It didn't exactly look like Dread Pirate Roberts. Don't worry, I'll most likely kill you in the morning. Well, with the changes needed, Baltar was instead spared for this, so that he could participate in the series. The new boss, now that the old boss was blown up, has a different plan.
I am to be
Spared.
to serve the Empire.
No. To serve your people.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
To help us extend a hand of truce.
Truce?
My predecessor was programmed at a time when our empire was less capable of tolerance.
I've already allowed for openly gay Cylons within our ranks.
I finally stopped living the lie.
To explain that the Cylons are no longer going to war against them, they're sending Baltar on a base star with someone named Lucifer to help him. Oh yeah, they'll naturally believe everything you say. Battlestar Galactica very much looks like a product of its time period. But despite that, the show seems to effectively hold up. There is more nuance to it than might first be suggested, and we're given something that's frequently much darker, tonally, than one might think given the robot dog and the kid. Sure, standing it against the reimagined series might make it look quaint and kitsch, but I think there's plenty of room to enjoy and admire both, at least based on what I've seen so far. I'm only bringing this up since the reimagined series seems far more what people think of given its popularity, at least when that show was on the air, that it can easily lead to the dismissal of the original series. But each show occupies their own places, and do so effectively and enjoyably, and are so different that honestly, comparison just isn't going to fly. One is more adventure, the other more military drama. Again, based upon what I've seen so far. I think the Planet of the Week might have been a premature inclusion in this opening film, though, as it does lead to an oddness in the work, making it feel more tacked on than part of a combined whole. This is especially disappointing given some of the powerful and exciting stuff that is narrated. The evacuation, leaving people behind, that's left unseen, while singing double-faced performers exist to fuel our nightmares. I'm not holding that against the episode, but it does seem a mistake given what they had to work with. Nevertheless, it offers a promising start that makes me interested in seeing more, which I guess means it's a good thing that we will.